And before I begin, I will ask Councillor Callum McLean to lead us in prayers. Callum.
Lord our God, we give thanks again for the opportunity of meeting here to deliberate over the matters concerning the Comhairle, and we ask for your leading and your guidance in it. We give thanks, O Lord, for all that you have done for us in the past and the provision that we have had. And as we look to an uncertain future, we ask for your leading. And we give thanks that the emblem is still that God's righteousness is our inheritance. And we give thanks that we put our trust in you and you alone. Remember each one of us this morning and all connected with us. We pray especially for the convener today, sorrowing the loss of his father, and we pray for him and his mother, left without a partner of many years. And we ask, O Lord, that you would bless the family as they are bereaved at this time. We think of others likewise who are grieving the loss of loved ones, recently and not so recently, and who even the reminder of death is another ache in their own hearts. Some who are grieving the loss of loved ones who were with them for many years. And we ask, O Lord, that you would bind up the broken hearts, even this morning. And we pray for all our families, all our relations, our communities at this time. And we ask that you would come with your presence and presence yourself with us. Presence yourself with those who are going through troubles at this time, whether it is loss, or whether it is depression or ill health. We ask you, O Lord, that you would be with them and bless them, and that you would help us and be with the leader here as he convenes the meeting. We ask that you would help him and bless him. And we ask as well for the chief executive and his staff, those who go diligently about their duties from day to day. And we give thanks for them and for the help they provide. And we ask, O Lord, that you would be with us, especially in these times when finance is difficult, when we haven't the means to which we would like to have. But, O Lord, we put our trust in you as the God who is able to help us. Be with us, lead us and guide us. And we ask all for Jesus' sake. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor McLean. As was mentioned, the convener has given us apologies for today's meeting, and on behalf of the Comhairle, I would like to pass on our sincere condolences to the convener and his family following the passing of his father. It's recommended that under the terms of Section 50A(4) of the Local Government Scotland Act 1973, the public, including the press, be excluded from the meeting during the consideration of item 10 on the grounds that exempt information as defined in Part 1 of Schedule 7A of the Act would be disclosed. Councillor Mackenzie.
Could I ask, Leader, that item 10 be taken in open committee, because individuals will not be mentioned. So from that point of view, I request that they be taken in public, not private. But I leave it to your decision.
I'll bring in the Derek for some advice.
Thank you, Leader. Obviously, that is a matter for the Comhairle side, whether to take it in public. I would just reiterate what Councillor Mackenzie has said, that individuals, whether elected members or officers, should not be mentioned or referred to or identified in the discussion of this item if it is to be taken in public. It may inhibit some of what could be said, or if there is any reference to individuals, named individuals, and that must be taken. Sorry, that is recommended to be taken in private session, but with that proviso.
So it's possible to take it in public if members are willing to take it in public, but if we reach a situation where individual members or members of staff are mentioned, then we will have to go into private. Is it the will of the Comhairle for us to hold it in public or private? Should we go to a vote, or I'm not seeing any indications from the floor.
Convener, if the members are minded to hold in public, with that provides that individuals aren't mentioned. If not,
Yeah.
or if you wish to go to a vote, we should have a member moving that we take this in public. We should have a seconder, and if there is an amendment.
Yeah. Okay, so does anyone wish for this to be taken, any comments about it being taken in public? Anyone against that? Councillor Clyde?
Thank you, Leader, Chair. I think we have to be very careful. This item is essentially about the welfare of staff and officers of this authority, and we have to be very careful. And I think it's been the protocol for such items relating to staff issues and to be taken in private, and I think we should err on the side of caution on this occasion.
Thank you. Councillor Murray?
Thank you, Convener. Will this stymie debate by taking it in public? Will it inhibit a debate, and would it maybe be a freer debate if it was taken in private?
Yeah, Chief Executive.
Thank you, Vice Convener. It's difficult to know where a debate like this will go, because it clearly concerns individuals. It concerns individual members. It concerns individual members of staff. It can be difficult to keep such a discussion entirely anonymous. But if the decision is taken to consider the matter in public, then of course we will do that. But as the Vice Convener has advised, it may be necessary to ask the Comhairle to go into private for discussion of certain matters. It just depends how the debate goes. But it is likely to be, I would say, stymie debate. That's a matter for yourselves, but it will make the debate, I think, more cautious.
Councillor Macaulay?
Right on.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair. I suggest that we have it in as an open meeting, and if it transgresses during that meeting that we should switch it to private, then we can. It's just a suggestion, because I don't think, even in private, it's very, very rare for names to be mentioned anyway.
Okay. Councillor McCormick?
Chair, it's a difficult one, this, right enough, but there is no way that you can guarantee that somebody won't mention something, just even without thinking. I think myself would just have to be careful, and it would be better just to, in all matters regarding staff, we should be as careful as we possibly can be.
That would be my feeling. I think there's someone could inadvertently say a name of staff or of a member. So my preference would be to take it in private. Would you be willing to accept that? Yeah. So okay, we'll take the matter in private then. Thank you very much. Okay, so I'm ruling the appendix to item 5 as urgent to allow the Comhairle to consider the matter. And sederant, I'll now ask Mr. Derek Mackay, Governance and Elections Manager, to read the sederant.
Leiscal vo nach Garum. Leader,
Sure.
Deputy Leader. Sure. Bara agus Watersay, Kenneth John McLean. Ian A. McNeil.
Amisha.
Mr. Jess Edisky, August Benevalia, Ian Murdoch MacLeod.
Amisha.
Susan Thompson. Ushta Tua, Mustafa Hussein.
Amisha.
Ushan Robertson. Oh, sorry, we have apologies for Councillor Robertson. Naherach, Paul Finnegan.
Amisha.
Grant Fulton.
Amisha.
Skiernan Loch, Robert Mackenzie. Angus Morrison. Skirug aus Carlebach, Ronald Fraser.
Amisha.
Norman MacDonald. Turf Siar agus Nish, John Norman MacLeod. Donald McSween. Lochatua, Donald F. Crichton. Johnny McKeever. Carla McLean. John Lochatua. Ian M. Macaulay. Malcolm K. MacDonald. Gordon Murray.
Tommy Shaw.
John Jace. Ray Mackenzie. Angus McCormack. Dr. Francis Murray. George Murray. Skieran Rue. Norrie MacDonald. And Finlay M. Stewart. Leader, there are 25 members of the quorum present.
Thank you very much. And sorry, I should have advised that Councillor Kenneth McLean and for myself and the conveners that you would be missing today. Thank you. Okay, tributes. Alexander Matheson, CVO, OBE. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to congratulate Mr. Alexander Sandy Matheson, CVO, OBE, who's granted the Freedom of the Western Isles at a ceremony in Stornoway Town Hall on the 31st of July. The Freedom of the Western Isles is an honour given by the Cornea to a person in recognition of their exceptional service to the area, and Sandy Matheson, who served as convener of the Cornea from 1982 to 1990, was recognised for his outstanding contribution to local business, politics and public life. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to congratulate Mr. Matheson on this well-deserved award. Councillor Norrie MacDonald. There you are. Good to see you back in the chamber. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to congratulate Mr. Councillor Norrie MacDonald on his recent marriage and would like to wish Norrie and Christine all the very best for their future happiness. Finlay MacLeod. I would like to pay tribute to Finlay MacLeod, who passed away on Tuesday, the 19th September 2023. Finlay was instrumental in establishing Cornea na Scoilteanarich, the Gaelic playgroup organisation, and he worked tirelessly in the promotion of Gaelic and its importance in the early years learning. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to extend our condolences to Mr. MacLeod's relatives and friends at this sad time. I would like to pay tribute to Mr. Ronnie McKinnon, footballer, who passed away on 17 September 2023 at the age of 82. Mr. McKinnon's mother was from Upper Carloway, and Mr. McKinnon had stayed on the island since 2005. He was centre-half for Scotland when they beat England, the World Cup champions, in 1967. He spent his entire professional career at Rangers, making more than 300 league appearances between 1960 and 1972, playing almost 500 times in all competitions. He also, along with his brother Donald, played for Carloway FC in the 1959 football season. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to pass our sincere condolences on to Mr. McKinnon's wife Elizabeth, his brother Donnie, his sister Anne, and the rest of his family and friends at this sad time. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to congratulate Mr. Charlie Nicholson Stornoway, who was awarded a Coronation Champion Award to celebrate extraordinary volunteers who are honoured for their long-standing contribution to their communities. Charlie's nomination was based on his long-term work with a number of organisations, including Blythewood, Lewis and Haddis, the Scottish Emergency Rescue Association, Eilean Siar Food Bank, and many more voluntary organisations. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to congratulate Mary Duff from Ness, who was also awarded a Coronation Champion Award for her contribution to the community of Ness with Taigundrich Music and Arts Centre. The Coronation Champion Award was launched by the Royal Voluntary Service to celebrate the work of extraordinary volunteers across the UK, and it was great news that there were 2 Coronation Champions from the Western Isles out of a total of 55 for the whole of Scotland. This displays the high level of commitment and dedication to volunteering that there is on the islands, and both Mary and Charlie have shown exceptional service to their communities, and on behalf of the Cornea, I would like to congratulate them both on this well-deserved recognition. I would like to congratulate Barra's oldest resident, Piccielli Haggerty of Borv, who recently celebrated her 101st birthday. On behalf of the Cornea, I would like to send our very best wishes to Piccielli on this special occasion. I would like to congratulate Cara Hanlon, who made her world's debut representing Great Britain at the World Aquatic Championships in Fukuoka, Japan, which took place between 23rd to the 30th of July. Cara continues to fly the flag for the Western Isles and is an exceptional talent that we are all immensely proud of. This latest achievement again sets new standards in what has been an amazing swimming career. I would like to congratulate Iona Davidson, a 6th-year pupil at the Nicholson Institute, who won the award for Outstanding Achievement at the Donald Stewart Memorial Trust 2023 Awards. The trustees paid tribute to Iona's tremendous academic success since entering S1, which resulted in her achieving numerous subject prizes each session. Iona was also recently awarded the Ducks of the Nicholson Institute and has been involved in many projects out with the classroom. On behalf of the Comhairle, I would like to congratulate Iona on this achievement. I would like to congratulate Annie McNeil from Barra, who won the award for significant contribution to Gaelic Development 2023 at the Donald Stewart Memorial Trust 2023 Awards. The trustees were delighted with Annie's strong commitment and dedication to the Gaelic language and culture. On behalf of the Comhairle, I'd like to congratulate Annie on this achievement. I'd like to congratulate all the competitors from the Western Isles who competed at the Island Games in Guernsey. All of our Island Games athletes have done the Western Isles proud, and on behalf of the Comhairle, I would like to congratulate each and every one of them and their coaching teams for their magnificent efforts in representing the Western Isles. Particular praise is due to our medal winners, the women's football team who won a silver medal, Kerry McPhee who won 2 silver medals in cycling, Lewis McAlpine who won a bronze medal in the half marathon, and the women's half marathon team who also won a bronze medal. However, it has been a team effort, and I know that our community is immensely proud of every one of our competitors. On behalf of the Comhairle, I would like to congratulate the Comhairle's Health and Social Care Department and the Barra Care at Home team, who were recently inspected by the Care Inspectorate and were awarded the classification of a grade of 5, meaning very good, across the assessed areas. These related to key areas such as how well we support people, the standard of our leadership and staff, as well as how we plan to deliver our service. The report reflects the significant strengths across all these areas, highlighting the dedication and commitment from the staff team. I would like to congratulate the Western Isles Youth Climate Action Group, who received the Environment and Conservation Award in recognition of their actions in raising awareness of climate issues affecting their communities. On behalf of the Comhairle, I would like to congratulate the Western Isles Youth Climate Action Group on this award. Now we move on to the agenda. Item 1, the minutes of the meeting of the 21st of June 2023, and that's for approval. Approved. Thank you. Item 2, you're invited to declare an interest in any agenda item at this point. If you become aware of an interest during the meeting, then I would ask that you declare it at that time. When declaring an interest, it would be helpful if members could indicate briefly the nature of that interest, and this helps to make our decision making more open and transparent to the public. Sir Murray.
Good morning, Chair. I'd like to declare an interest in item 4 as an employee of the UHI, and item 10, where I'll be leaving the meeting. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Murray. Got a note of that. Okay, we move on to item 3 on the agenda, written questions to the convener and chairman of committees. So Councillor Gordon Murray has submitted a written question, and I would invite Councillor Murray to read this question at this stage. Councillor Murray.
Thank you very much, Chair. Please, can you advise on the progress of the assisted transport review and the respite policy review, and how the reviews meet the Fairer Scotland duty to undertake an impact assessment considering such aspects as socio-economic disadvantage? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Murray. So the response is as follows. The review of the assisted transport policy will be reported to the next meeting of the ICMT in October, and then to the Integration Joint Board in December. The review of the respite policy will follow the review of the assisted transport policy and will commence in October. Socio-economic disadvantage was considered as part of the impact assessments when the policies were established, and there would only be a requirement to undertake a further impact assessment if there were significant changes to the policies or risks were identified which had not been previously addressed as part of the initial impact assessment. Is there a supplementary question?
Many thanks, Chair. Thanks for your response.
Thank you very much, Councillor Murray. Item 4, governance. This report seeks the appointment of a member to the UHI North Western Hebrides Local Advisory Group. The initial membership of the LAC will include an elected member or Comhairle officer. The Comhairle may wish to appoint an elected member with an officer appointed as a substitute, and the Comhairle will request that the UHI consider having both as substantive members of the LAC. So Derek Mackay is available to answer members' questions on this, but I suppose I'm just looking for nominations at this stage for an elected member to serve on the UHI North Western Hebrides Local Advisory Committee. Do we have any nominations? Sorry, the screen's gone off. Okay. Chief Executive.
Chair, Vice Convener, just to advise in terms of the officer appointment, which will be the substitute member, I would intend to appoint the Chief Officer Education and Children's Services.
Thank you for that. Are there any members wishing to nominate Councillor Crichton?
I think the Chair of Education would be a suitable fit for.
Do we have a seconder? Yeah, Councillor Misty.
I will second that. Okay.
Yeah, and Councillor Finnegan, are you happy with that nomination?
Yep, fine,
Yeah.
thanks.
That's great. I don't see any other lights on, so if that's the case, then let's go through that. Thank you. Item 5. This report seeks approval for the proposed public and local holidays in 2024, together with the proposed programme of committee and Corlia meetings. Please note that the Education and Children's Services Department are consulting on the school holiday dates for next April in Uist and Barra, with a view to moving a day from the May holiday weekend to permit a holiday on Good Friday. The draft Corlia year planner for 2024 and the proposed public holidays is appended to the report. And again, Derek Mackay is available to answer members' questions. Lights, and members agree the recommendation of paragraph 3.1. Agreed. Thank you. There's no hands up. Oh, is there a hand? Councillor Murray's your hand up. Not quite seeing it on the screen here. Councillor Gordon Murray online. Was your hand up? No. Of course, yes. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Murray declared an interest, so we'll call him back in for this item. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we will proceed as Councillor Murray hasn't done the training, as we understand, so we'll just proceed with this item. So item 6, the planning application is classed as a major application under the hierarchy of development regulations. The application cannot be determined under delegation and is therefore presented to the Corlia for a decision following consultation by the Planning Applications Board. The recommendation of the board has been circulated to members and the minute of this meeting has been added to SharePoint. I would remind members that you must have taken part in planning training to participate in the decision. Warwick Ferguson is here and will speak to the report supported by a presentation, and thereafter we will take some questions. So I'll bring more again.
Thank you, Leader. If I may, I will provide just a brief overview of both this and the following item before I take members through the presentation for each application. Both applications pertain to existing mineral sites formerly granted planning permission by the Corlia. Both applications are made under Section 42 of the Town and Country Planning Act, a provision that allows for an application to be made to vary or remove a condition to which a planning permission has been subject. The effect of such an application, if approved, is the grant of a fresh planning permission incorporating the varied conditions. The principle of development for each application is not revisited. The assessments only consider material changes in circumstances, since the original consents were granted, and review the conditions only in that context. In these cases, the request is to vary the condition which sets the duration of each consent. The applications are therefore seeking to extend the duration of quarrying operations at each site from Relishker and North Uist for a further 15 years and Kelnanora and Harris for a further period of 20 years. As the Leader has said, the two planning applications are classed as major developments in terms of the planning hierarchy. That's on account of their location, their scale, combined with the nature of the development. As such, in terms of the scheme of delegation, they cannot be determined under delegation, and they are remitted to be determined by the Corlia following a recommendation by the Planning Board. There were no third-party objections to either of the applications, and there were no objections by any consultee to each application. Each item is accompanied by a short PowerPoint presentation that sets out the context, the key planning issues, and provides some maps and photographs of each of the sites. So if I'll take you to the first application, so this is the planning application to vary condition 2 of planning permission for Comhairle quarry at Lochmaddy, near Lochmaddy in North Uist. The application site is on the main A865 road between Clachan and Lochmaddy. Those familiar with it, the quarry is just as you enter, like a very deep rock cutting on the main road. The nearest building that is occupied is to the south at Langus Lodge, just to the bottom left of that image. Just a bit on the site location and context. It's an out with settlement location in relation to the spatial strategy of the local development plan. It's a minerals quarry. There are no changes proposed under this application to the area of the formally consented quarry or to the operations or activities that would be undertaken within the site. The site area itself is 6.1 hectares. The access is directly off the A865. And as I said, the closest occupied property is Langus Lodge Hotel. It's about 1 3/4 kilometres southeast of the site. The landscape is classified as boggy moorland in terms of Nature Scots landscape character assessment. Moorland is obviously underlain with a Louisianese mineral, and the site is within the southern part of the South Lewis Harris and North Uist National Scenic Area. The application site is marginally within land which is designated an SSSI, SAC and SPA. As such, in terms of regulations, an appropriate assessment was required to be undertaken under the Habitats Regulation. Habitats Regulations. The appraisal concluded that there would be no adverse effect on the integrity of these designated sites or the qualifying features arising from the continuation of the quarrying operations. Further, the application is a nature of development that requires to be screened under the Environmental Impact Assessment Regulations. Again, that process was carried out and it was concluded that the development was not EIA development, and therefore an environmental statement was not required to accompany the application. This image here outlined in red is the extent of the formerly consented quarry site. Within that, you'll see a darker black line that illustrates the extent of the land which has already been subject to quarrying operations. To the north and northeast of the site are the remaining reserves. The slide just provides an aerial view that kind of illustrates that area outlined in black on the previous slide, shows the extent of the area that's already been quarried. And it also shows very clearly the access onto the main road. You can see to the right and the left there is like a buffer of land. It's actually very raised rock outcrop all along the side of the road, and the site isn't immediately visible from either the road or surrounding area. This is just a slide that just shows the topography of the site, and although it's not very clear at this scale, there is like a raised area of land to the north and also to the northeast, which is underlain with mineral that will be extracted under the terms of this consent if granted. Okay, so the proposed development, condition 2 of the former planning permission stipulated that the permission was to expire at the end of March 2023. This new application was submitted prior to the expiry of that consent and seeks to extend the period of quarrying operations by further 15 years. So the effect of granting a new consent would be that the duration would be to the 31st of March 2038. The remaining reserve to be quarried at that site is estimated to be in the order of 270,000 tonnes. The proposal provides for the final restoration of the site with any soils and unsaleable rock from extraction to be used in that restoration scheme. And the overall focus of the restoration scheme would be biodiversity enhancement and habitat creation. There would be like quarry floor would naturally flood when the drains would be taken away, and there would also be part of the quarry surrounded by peatland would be restored to moorland. This slide just shows the area of the final extraction in dark grey. This cross section just shows in brown again the areas that remain to be extracted. And the final slide is the draft restoration plan that just shows how the area would be restored. So the central part of the quarry would be would effectively form a basin of water, which would be very similar to the landscape that is round about. There's lots of moorland lochs in that area. The edges of the quarry would be rolled over and the rest off in soil. The access to the site would be closed again with material, and it would just regenerate naturally. The recommendations for approval, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments from members? Just check online in case anyone's wanting to come in. See no lights. So do members agree the recommendation of paragraph 3.1? Agreed, thank you. We move on to item 7. So this planning application is also classed as a major application under the hierarchy of development regulations. The application cannot be determined under delegation and therefore presented to the Comhairle for a decision following consideration by the Planning Applications Board. The recommendation of the board has been circulated to members and the minute has been added to SharePoint. I would remind members that you must have taken part in planning training to participate in this decision, and Maura Ferguson will speak again to this report, supported by a presentation and questions thereafter. Maura.
Okay, thank you, Leader. Okay, so this, again, planning application is this time for Comhairle nan Eilean quarry in Ardhasig in the Isle of Harris. And again, the request is to vary condition 1 of the consent with the effect of consent would be to extend quarrying by a period of further period of 20 years. This quarry will be familiar to many. It's just on the edge of the A859 road from Tarbert to Stornoway, just as you climb into the hills of Harris beyond the junction with Bunavanator. It's outlined in red just in the centre of the slide. Again, the site's out with settlement in relation to the spatial strategy of the Outer Hebrides Development Plan. It's an existing site, existing minerals quarry. We understand it was opened in the 1960s by or on behalf of Inverness County Council. And the extent of the site that's subject to the current application was granted planning permission by the Comhairle in 2003. The nearest dwelling houses are approximately 540 metres from the southern edge of the site. Those are houses in the rural settlement of Bunavanator, and the northern section of the site, which is the area that remains to be quarried, is at 1 kilometre's distance from that housing. In terms of landscape, the landscape is characterised as prominent hills and mountains. And again, this is within the South Lewis Harris North Uist National Scenic Area. It's also close to the boundary of the various Natural Heritage designations, SPAs and SACs as outlined on the slide there. In this an aerial view of the site. In the southern portion of the site, you can see the roof of the office with the weighbridge and the access coming on to the main road. There is screening bunding all along the road, which means, again, like your view of the site is fairly limited. It does come into view as you climb up the hill. The area to be exploited further is effectively the area that's already been quarried, and the intention would be to quarry down in benches from, I think it's like 146 to 126 metres to 111. So as you go down, obviously any view of the site from public viewpoints will decrease. So condition 1 stated that the Planning Commission would expire in December of this year, and the application seeks to extend the period of quarrying operations by a period of further 20 years. Again, no new operations or uses are proposed at the site. The operations to extract, crush and stockpile stone will be wholly within the existing quarry site. The proposals again allow for progressive restoration of the quarry to take place at the same time as extraction is ongoing. The quarry would be developed in phases, so that's the current phase where they would continue to quarry at the level that they're at. The next level would go down slightly further and they would start to restore the edges of the quarry. And then the final phase would see the extraction down to 111 metres above ordnance datum, and again a progressive restoration of the quarry floor. Key planning issues, as mentioned in the overview to both applications, it's an application made under section 42. The principle of the development is not revisited, as what we're looking at is whether the development should be consented with either the same or varied conditions. And again, no new operations are to take place at the site, and the assessments taken into account material changes in circumstances that have occurred since the previous permission was granted. In this case, the material changes of circumstances have included the fact that the quarry has obviously been operating since the consent was last granted. The development plan has been updated, our own local development plan, and now National Planning Framework 4, which means that there's a new policy context against which the application needs to be assessed. And in terms of the surrounding environment, since the original consent was granted, the houses at Bunnavenator were built. The quarry was taken into account when these houses were consented. And the other matter is that there is an imminent grant of Section 37 and deemed planning permission by Scottish ministers in relation to the new replacement high voltage line, which will come from Harris to Stornoway. That report was considered by members at the meeting at the end of May. The operational corridor for those works is 100 metres wide, and while it's not expected that the line would come any closer to the quarry than the existing, the operational corridor during construction works does extend closer towards the quarry. Any peat excavated as a result of the development will be managed in accordance with the draft peat management plan and the site restoration that has been submitted in draft, and they will be secured by condition. There are potential issues in relation to noise, light, dust and vibration from blasting, and again these are to be mitigated by updated conditions that are set out in Schedule 1. The proposal to continue the quarrying would have economic and social benefits for the area, and it's concluded based on the application that the development as formally consented and now proposed would not result in any material change in the impacts to that currently experienced from the established use of the quarrying site. Then there just follows like a couple of very brief views. This photograph is taken just on the last bend after you've left Ardhazig. Beyond the filling station, you're looking towards the village of Bunnavenator. The social housing development was built just over 10 years ago in the foreground there, and the quarry is in the hills just above that. From that viewpoint, you can see just the gable end of the office building, and you can also see a stockpile of material that's already been crushed and is ready for sale. As you climb higher into the hills and towards the site, again, the stockpile becomes clearer, as does the gable end of the building, but by and large, the actual quarry floor and quarrying operations are not visible. This is just an image that's been taken standing on top of the overburden that's been cleared formally within the site, looking down on the weighbridge and the office building. That's looking south. And then this is just an image of the northern part of the site, just showing part of the area that would continue to be quarried by quarrying down in benches. And again, you can see the screening bunding by the road, and obviously that screening bund will remain at the same height, but the quarrying will go down the way. And then the final slide is of the restoration plan that just shows that at the end of the life of the consent, unless there was an application made for the consent to be extended further, the intention would be to restore the steep edges of the quarry. You can see in the cross section in the bottom right of the image, there would be like 3 steps in the quarry. These steps would be dressed off with a bit of rock to just round off the square edges, and then the quarry floor would be dressed with peat and some bog pools created. The recommendation is for approval again. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Do members agree the recommendation at paragraph 3.1? Any questions? Morag? No. And do we agree the recommendations? Agreed, thank you. Item 8, committees. So committee decision reports, these are for approval. Thank you. For the recommendation of the decision reports, and can I have a proposer and seconder for the following decision reports? Education, Sport and Children's Services Committee. Councillor Finnegan.
I would like to move the committee decision report of Education, Sport and Children's Services Committee on the 19th of 2023.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder?
I would like to second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor O'Seaton, seconds Councillor Finnegan. The Sustainable Development Committee. Councillor Crichton.
Thank you, Vice Premier. I move the committee decision report of the Sustainable Development Committee, which met on the 19th of September.
Thank you very much. And do I have a seconder?
Second.
Councillor Duncan McKinnon seconds that. Next committee is Transport and Infrastructure Committee. Councillor Thompson.
Move the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee decision report of the 20th of September 2023.
Thank you very much. And do I have a seconder?
Yes, Vice
Councillor
Premier,
Crichton.
second that.
Councillor Crichton seconds that. Thank you very much. Policy and Resource Committee. I move the committee decision report of the Policy and Resources Committee on 20 September 2023. Seconded by Duncan Guinness. And finally, Audit and Scrutiny Committee. Councillor Morrison.
Thank you, Leader. I move the committee decision report of the Audit and Scrutiny Committee that was held on the 21st of September 2023.
Thank you. And do I have a seconder? But notes of that. Thank you very much, everyone. Item 9, the proposer and seconder have indicated that they wish to withdraw this notice of motion, and it may be tabled at a future meeting of the Comhairle. We now move into private for item 10. And just for those in attendance, the next committee meeting will be the Wednesday, 6th of December 2023.